Hello, I'm Tracy Grimshaw. Welcome to A Current Affair. Tonight, a mum trying to set up her family's future and a trusted Australian bank, both scammed by a sophisticated gang, and it was so well executed. Now the race to stop $700,000 going offshore.
In that moment, I knew I'd started panicking. Oh my goodness. I knew I was caught out.
When you hear how they did it, you might not understand, but you'll certainly sympathise. Yakami Dupree was preyed upon by a sophisticated gang of ruthless, greedy and organised criminals.
I've been scammed out of $760,000.
In December, Yakami and husband Zach relocated from Perth to Melbourne. Yakami and the kids travelled separately while Zach drove. 3 hours out of Perth, Zach was killed in a fatal road accident. The money that's been scammed was his life insurance payout.
I want to warn other people.
When the money came, Yakami was determined to protect her family's future, planning to buy a house in Melbourne, finding the best rate for a one-year deposit with what appeared to be Macquarie Bank.
2.5%. I completed the online form with personal information like your name, contact details, and it gave me a notice to say Macquarie will be in contact.
Soon after, Yakami's phone rang with a man calling himself Mark Dickinson. What can you remember about this Mark Dickinson?
He sounded very sophisticated, British accent, sounded like a banker, very polished in his talking, could explain exactly how the process works, sounded 100% like what I would have heard at 10 other banks in the past.
He was very slick.
Very slick. The information they provided, I Googled him or looked him up on LinkedIn. A Mark Dickinson that works at Macquarie existed on LinkedIn. I don't know if it exists today.
That profile does still exist, and someone of that name does work at the bank. It's just not the person that Yakami was speaking with. And this is what scammers do, according to cybercrime expert Nick Savides.
They will take over identities of legitimate employees. You think you're dealing with them, but in fact you're dealing with a scammer who's impersonating them.
And that's not the only devious way Yakami was conned. As a trained auditor, she's kept the paperwork, including the knockoff Macquarie contract that she was sent.
All the signatures, everything that you would expect.
Emails from the fake Mark Dickinson coming with authentic-looking detail. Sophisticated, isn't it?
Very sophisticated.
Satisfied, Yakami went ahead. On April 14, she transferred $100,000 of the life insurance money from her CBA account to the so-called term deposit. On April 21, she sent another $100,000 before making daily payments from April 22 to 25, consisting of $100,000 from her CBA account and $40,000 from her NAB account. Later, on the 25th, Yakami had a sinking feeling.
They are super good at what they do.
It appears Yakami signed up on an imitation Macquarie website run by the scammers. She's since raised the issue with the Commonwealth, NAB and government investigator AVCA in the hope the funds can be frozen before it's too late. Meanwhile, her son Herc has been her rock as Yakami prays for a miracle.
It's been very rough, but I gotta stay strong for my mum and my sister, make sure they're right. Yeah.
He's amazing. He's amazing.
With her audit background, Yakami traced the money from her accounts to payment service Cuscal. The cash then passed through a similar service called Maneuver before ending up linked to Elbait, a cryptocurrency exchange. While it's not suggested Elbait are involved at all, crime gangs do favour crypto.
That money gets transferred, converted, and then transferred out, and then cashed out.
The gang's using money mules to withdraw cash from ATMs around the world.
In 2015, cybercrime became larger than the entire illicit drug trade.
Macquarie Bank's website now carries a warning that scammers are pretending to offer term deposits in their name, so Yakami is clearly not alone. She knows some will say she should have done more, but right now she just wants to help prevent others from becoming victims of these vile criminals.
It's pretty devastating that I've that I've fallen into this trap. But it's even more devastating that there's nowhere he can turn.
Both the Commonwealth Bank and the NAB have told us its recovery process is underway. We're going to stay on the case. We call ourselves the lucky country, but our health system is in crisis. The horror stories keep happening and nobody's fixing it.
This just should not happen, not in Australia.
I thought I was going to die.
It's soul destroying to watch people have a bad outcome or a fatal outcome and know that it's because of system issues and not because of the care that we could have given them.
Dr. Sarah Whitelaw sees our hospital trauma daily. She's an emergency physician in a major Melbourne hospital with this warning to our states and the federal government.
It's time and we're out of time.
Time, once and for all, she says, to fix our national health system.
Are you saying this is an election issue?
It is absolutely an election issue. I believe that the community know how bad this is. Anyone who's been to an emergency department, been in hospital or trying to access hospital care in some other way knows that we can provide world-class care in Australia, but the problem is in accessing it.
After a man died waiting to be treated at Bairnsdale Hospital.
Monday, this is where a 72-year-old man spent the last moments of his life waiting to be treated.
58-year-old man suffers chest pains. An ambulance is called, but there was none to send.
Several minutes on the line, the operator couldn't tell the couple when an ambulance would arrive.
This is not a problem in one state or one city or one hospital. This is not a COVID problem. We see this happening in every single state of Australia.
So this is Melbourne, Sydney, Brisbane, Adelaide, Perth.
It's absolutely national, and it's a product of what's been happening in our system and in our communities over the last 20 or 30 years.
There was blood everywhere on the stairs. He crawled to the lounge and could not move anymore, so I phoned straight away the ambulance.
Gurlinda Dobson says the 3-hour wait for an ambulance for her 79-year-old husband, John, felt like a lifetime. He'd had a terrible fall.
Then I waited and waited and phoned about 4 or 5 times. And it was, in the end, our neighbour phoned again, and 3 hours later, the ambulance came.
The couple lived just 10 minutes from a Gold Coast hospital.
I could have taken him, but, I couldn't move him. And they couldn't give me a time. They just said, I understand you're frustrated. And I said, I'm not frustrated. I am just so scared.
She was vomiting. She wasn't well at all. She couldn't stand up. Things were getting pretty drastic.
In March, Melbourne father Darren Painting called for an ambulance after his wife Janice, who was battling COVID, collapsed.
Got a phone call back from the ambulance service, and the lady said, sorry, but you will not be getting an ambulance tonight. And I just said, well, what do you want me to do? Can you take her yourself? And I just said, no. I said, I'm full of COVID too.
An ambulance finally arrived for Janice more than 12 hours later, but it would still be hours before she was released from the paramedics' care to be triaged.
Honestly, I didn't know what was going on. I was just so sick. And they were sitting there waiting, and I said, I'll go and help some other patients. And they said, no, we're not allowed to protocol. We've got to stay here and wait for you to be admitted.
We're seeing terrible ambulance ramping figures. We're seeing stories of people whose lives have not been saved, whose outcomes have been significantly worse.
Dr. Omar Khorshid, President of the Australian Medical Association. He says the national health funding equation, the feds contributing 45% and the states 55%, is wrong. It should be even Stevens.
And we're talking about 50-50 funding, so lifting the Commonwealth's contribution from 45% to 50%. That's got a price tag of around $20 billion over 4 years. That's pretty expensive, but it's that kind of investment that our hospital system desperately needs.
Now that is one big fix, $20 billion. But where is the money needed? Senior medicos say it's not just for ambulances and emergency departments, it's for a total rebuild of the national health system.
We've got to fix primary care, we've got to fix our private hospital system, we've got to fix community care and aged care, we've got to fix mental health, we've got to fix our public hospitals.
The hospital beds, there's not enough of them, and that means that we just don't have the space to do elective surgery, and people who come in with emergencies get stuck in the emergency department. They can't get into the ward.
I've been doing stories about this for so long. I was doing stories about this problem when I had dark hair, right? So that's a long time. But it's got worse.
It has, and I think the fear for us is that it's going to continue to get worse unless we recognise how bad it is and do something about it.
This is people's lives we're talking about. Can't bring it back. If someone dies, they're gone, and you know, I think it's very sad that we've got a society that has allowed us to get this far.
In this election, you can hold all the babies you want, you can meet all the workers you want, and you can make all the promises you want. But which party is going to throw a $20 billion lifeline to resuscitate our health system? And what can we, the public, do to help?
I think there's three good ways to help. One is if you need to come to the emergency department, if you need emergency department care, please come. Don't stay at home. Keep up with all of your normal healthcare needs and see your GP to get vaccinated, get your flu vax, get your COVID booster as soon as you can. And three, vote. This is a huge federal election issue. I believe that the community knows how bad this problem is, and I think they want our next federal government to fix it.
Grandparents Leon and Bev were always able to access their home. Then a flood created a creek through their property. Now the couple in their 70s have to wade through the creek to reach their house, and they blame the council.
All I'm asking is to get into my home. Yeah, that's all I want.
It's terrible, and I don't think we should be treated like this.
It's a sight that has to be seen to be believed. Great-grandparents Bev and Leon Field forced to risk wading through floodwater to get in and out of their home.
I blame the council because they've never helped us, never wanted to help us, and it's just, you know, we can't help you, and that's how it is.
Leon, hello. That is a mission, isn't it?
It certainly is.
If you want to visit Leon, you have to be prepared to wade across the swollen Tent Hill Creek, an hour's drive west of Brisbane.
Yes.
We brought you some supplies. Hopefully that helps and saves you a trip across the creek.
Thank you very much. That's terrific.
So Leon, this is not something you want to do every day.
Certainly not. No, it is not. But I have to if we want to survive.
Heavy rains in February flooded this creek, and that's meant that Beverly and Leon have been isolated on their property for more than 50 days. Their only way out is over that hill behind me there or through this water. And getting across this isn't easy for anyone, let alone a couple in their 70s. And Beverly, are you afraid to cross the creek?
I hate it, and I can't get home. I want to get home to my place.
And Bev has good reason to be scared. 2 weeks ago, the 77-year-old had to make the perilous journey because she needed to undergo cancer treatment. You can see Bev here being helped across by her grandsons. She made it out, but coming back, she slipped and gouged her leg on a rock.
I slipped on the rocks and took a big chunk out of my leg. And yeah, it was just in the water, just flapping in the bruise, the part of my leg that, yeah, was awful.
And of course you couldn't get up?
No, no.
It just breaks my heart just to see her have to walk through it, let alone see her sitting there in agony. And there's just nothing I can do.
The thing about this creek is, Leon says it never used to be here. He says a heavy storm 9 years ago forced the water across his property and it's stayed ever since, flooding whenever there's heavy rain and blocking him off. And now he says the council tell him because it's on private property, it's his problem, not theirs.
I explained to him in December there that my wife had to get out for radium treatment. They just said, 3 people in a row told me, that is not our problem, it is yours.
Seriously?
Seriously.
When Bev injured herself, she had to sit in the water for 50 minutes until paramedics could get to her and take her to hospital.
And the ambulance said that it's a bad situation, and if anything was to happen to us when we're at home, the way the creek is, they would never be able to get to us.
We knew it was going to be inevitable that somebody would get injured due to the massive amount of damage that's there and the boulders that are being washed down from the creek.
Terry Lee Powter is Leon and Bev's daughter. She's taking care of her mum now Bev's out of hospital until the creek water drops to a point where they can drive her home because there's no way Bev can attempt the journey at the moment.
But somebody's got to be responsible for the fact that they can't even access their home, get their car out, or go anywhere.
My husband's there and I'm here and will be for weeks now, so I don't know what's going to happen to us.
Does it make you angry?
Yes, very angry, because no one wants to know us.
This satellite image shows the creek after its course was moved by floods in 2013. And Bev and Leon want the council to redirect the creek or help build a bridge to give them all-weather access.
We can't do anything. We can't sell the place. No one will buy it. We can't live like this. And so what is it for us? Nothing. Everything we planned for just went, as, excuse the pun, down the creek.
It's council's responsibility to allow you access, as far as I know, to your property, and they're not allowing them access to their property.
The Lockyer Valley Regional Council has been in talks with the family to discuss access options, but in a statement, a spokesperson says access to the Fields property is off a road governed by the Department of Transport and Main Roads, not council, so council has no jurisdiction over the road in question. While Queensland's Department of Transport and Main Roads tells us private property accesses to a state-controlled road are the property owner's responsibility, and any maintenance or upgrades required are at the property owner's expense.
Someone's got to stand up and take responsibility for it. It's just wrong.
I want to be home in my own home, and if I want to drive out, I want to be able to drive out. But the way things are now, I won't be able to.
When we went back to the council, it said it had referred the matter to yet another government department. In the meantime, it suggested Leon and Bev live elsewhere until another option is secured. Now, who knows when that will be? There's got to be a better way forward. Up next, bureaucracy and buck passing stopping this young couple from building their dream home.
Okay, here we go.
Oh, yes, here we go.
Our travel guides are about to take off.
Nothing's happening. There's a fair bit of weight. You're going to have to floor it.
Across our great southern land. Here we go again. Top to bottom.
Have you seen what people are wearing?
Yeah, it's all 90% off.
Coast to coast. Nowhere is safe. Watch out, Perth. They're coming for you first.
Oh, what was that?
He's smiling.
All new travel guides coming up next on 9.
Delta adapts to your life. The modular sofa that reconfigures effortlessly with no compromise to comfort. So why buy ordinary furniture when you can come home to King? Autumn sale ends Sunday.
It's time for a new adventure. A reimagined version of Harry Potter and the Cursed Child will open in just 1 week. direct from Broadway. This dazzling brand new production can now be enjoyed in one magical afternoon or evening. Don't miss your chance to experience this spectacular event that delivers spellbinding adventure and even more magic per minute. Opens May 4. Book now at Ticketek.
Before you go, go.
Yeah, no.
Here it is. When change happens, like a new car, think Yui. We're a car insurer that can save you money by covering you for where your life's at right now. Yui. You insured.
DeLonghi Perfetto, from bean to cup.
Every year, over 2 kilos of grime pass through your dishwasher. Finish Dishwasher Cleaner helps remove the grease and lime scale that may be left behind for a more hygienic clean.
For urban adventurers, adrenaline chasers, and rugged explorers, new Mazda CX-5. New adventures, new rules.
Time for a wall makeover? Do it yourself with Stick Wall. Stick Wall luxury wall panels. Beautifully designed. So easy to install. With no mess and no fuss. Easy as. Stick Wall. Luxury wall panels. Available at Bunnings Warehouse.
Everything you touch turns to savings at Aldi. So don't change your lifestyle. Change your supermarket. Checkout keeps you on your toes, though. Aldi. Good. Different.
The next generation of university has arrived. Swinburne's deep industry partnerships guarantee real industry experience with every bachelor degree. And in 2022, we're back on campus. Swinburne. Next gen now.
At Kmart, you'll find everything you need this Mother's Day. Kmart, low prices for life.
Take the AFL to the next level with an early payout. Place a head-to-head bet on any AFL game this round, and if your team is up by 20 points or more at half-time, you'll get paid out as a winner. Take it to the Neds level.
Welcome back. Matthew and Carissa worked hard to be able to afford their first home, only to be left in limbo, stuck in a bureaucratic nightmare over what looks like a simple approval.
I just want them to know, like, we are a young family that want to move into our house.
Really frustrated. We should be in by now.
Hey, Sydney Water.
Give us a fair go. Master bedroom will end up here.
Matthew and Carissa want to set themselves up for life, but they claim bureaucracy's holding them back. They purchased this piece of land in Tamworth, southwest of Sydney, in 2020, with plans to build their first family home.
I was very heavily pregnant when we came to look at this block of land, and it just felt right.
I sold my car for it. I had a pretty valuable car. But yeah, I'm basically saving since I got a job.
The couple put their full deposit down in January last year, had the land registered in June. Their builders submitted their architect's plans to Sydney Water through Accredited Service Coordinator, PRCM, in August, and have waited ever since for approval.
We got told our house was a 4-month build, and it still hasn't even started.
For 8 months, the family's been in limbo.
So this is where the problem lies, right through here?
Yep, this is where there's an easement running through here. We knew when we bought it, but on this side we're 5.5 metres away from it, and at the closest point we're 3.5, so there shouldn't be any issues.
Not only does an easement run through the land, but the land sits on an old mine. Sydney Water's blaming the Water Servicing Coordinator, PRCM, telling A Current Affair it only received the first application from PRCM on the 21st of December 2021. Sydney Water received a resubmitted application on the 24th of February this year, and it's in the process of being reviewed. A Current Affair contacted PRCM for comment. The organisation sent us a legal letter in response, saying they couldn't comment further for confidentiality reasons.
We are trying to get a head start and get this block, and like with all the interest rates going up and everything, we've maxed out what we can borrow, so it's going to make it hard. You're going to have to dip into some cash to pay for the price that have gone up, and it's kind of setting us back.
According to the couple's builder, the price of the build has increased by at least $40,000 since plans were submitted.
Delays of 8 months' nature are not acceptable in any shape or form.
We asked structural engineer Goran Seremiovsky to take a look at the case.
It's a pretty small project. It's not a big project. It shouldn't have been held up for this amount of time whatsoever.
Why are you sitting on it for so long?
Guys, how are you?
Matthew's mum, Melissa, is fed up too. The family's been living with her for 8 months, and she says they're running out of space.
I just really want them to get this passed, you know, so that they can get on and build their first home.
Little Hallie is 16 months old. I know you were planning on having her first Christmas here, her first birthday here. Realistically, when will you be in here?
Hopefully by this Christmas, the way it's going.
Fingers crossed.
Fingers crossed, yeah.
Well, we do have some good news. Sydney Water has since approved Matthew and Carissa's plans, and they intend to start work immediately. Coming up, living in a COVID brain fog, how even simple tasks are leaving Jennifer exhausted.
Sorry, can you ask me the question again?
Build, launch, race.
They've crashed the world record!
Must see Dragon Sunday. Sunday at 7 on 9.
What's the healthiest food for your child? On 9 News, exclusive research from the Royal Children's gets to the bottom of what's on their plate. Store-bought or homemade. What's the best option for a growing toddler?
It's really important for Australian parents to know the facts.
A 9 News health report tomorrow at 6.
Introducing SodaStream's Duo Sparkling Water Maker that lets you sparkle in glass and dishwasher-safe plastic bottles and features our revolutionary Quick Connect system. Never ordinary, always exciting. SodaStream. Push for better.
Dolly Parton, that's me, presents 9 to 5, the musical. Book tickets to 9 to 5, the musical, and put a smile on your face.
My family have been in building our whole lives, and rarely have I seen quality like this.
Rob, this kitchen is magnifique.
But that's not all. It just keeps getting better. To build a home as good as this, it takes a team who are passionate about quality construction.
Rob, this is incredible. It's very European, just like me. And this is what you get when you mix quality and award-winning design.
To end up in your perfect home,
the best place to start is with us.
Home Group.
What if positive change was only one design away? Some say design is beyond most people's reach. We say it's already in your hands. So, what will you design today?
Save your home. Maximum home loans below 3% for the next 5 years. Vote One United Australia Party and secure your family's future.
Authorised by Clive Palmer for the United Australia Party, Brisbane.
Have you tried Freeview? Discover all the amazing content across free-to-air TV in one easy place. We've got over 50,000 episodes, more than 30 channels to choose from. 100% free. Visit freeview.com.au.
It's the perfect time to celebrate new season Australian apples, like juicy Australian pink lady apples, just $3 a kilo. Celebrating Australian fresh. That's today's fresh food people.
We've got drones that can deliver packages, fridges that tell us when we're out of eggs, and people with diabetes are still pricking their fingers? Meet the Dexcom G6. See your glucose right on your phone without finger sticks. Get started at Dexcom.com.
When you don't need to worry, there'll be days like this. When no one's in a hurry, there will be days like this. When all the parts of the puzzle start to look like they fit. My mama told me there'll be days like this. My mama told me there'll be days like this.
Julia Roberts and Sean Penn star in the insane but shockingly true story.
Ms. Mitchell, why risk your husband's position?
Because it's the truth. The brand new series, Gaslit, now streaming only on Stan.
All new episodes of Hot Seat with new life-changing wins. New Millionaire Hot Seat, weekdays on 9.